Hi, I'm Bill Stasinski, president of Studio 21 Architects, and I am here to present episode 9 of Design Build Decoded, the roller coaster of emotions.
Slash
Slash
the recap.
the recap, you stupid. Hi, Bill Stasinski here, and I am the president of Studio 21 Architects, and I'm here to present episode 9 in the Design Build Decoded series, and it is called The Recap, the emotional roller coaster in the design process. So, as we got started into this project, and I just want to recap a number of things, but one of the first most important things is that we wanted to use a product called Superior Walls, and it's a precast foundation system, and it includes insulation and metal studs on the end of these ribs that can all make the project much easier to work with regard to the cost and insulation and such. And the problem was that the playing field has a restriction on what you can do with the foundation walls, and they're very specific in their local amendments that say it has to be poured concrete walls. But then you get into like some ugly insulation methods or additional costs for studding out walls when you're going to do a finished basement. So I approached the building department to see if we could use the one little exception in their code that says, or if approved by the building code official. And I called the building code official, and he said, absolutely not. We've looked at this system 10 years ago, and we're not going to approve it. And I kind of continued the conversation and, asking why. And it kind of got back and forth. He kind of said, hey, I'm old school. This is how I like to see it. So it's like, all right, well, so was, the time before plywood and other innovations that have happened in the building process. And this product has been around since the early 80s, so it's a proven product. So we went back and forth on a number of things, and he have legitimately a lot of questions that we answered, and we got into finally getting it approved with the condition that we have a pre-construction meeting. So this will be the first time that this system will be used in that community, but I feel it's going to be, and wait till you see it, you'll be amazed. It's a little bit of a roller coaster ride. It was the financing part of it, and we needed to get a bank loan, and so as a business owner, that just adds another extra couple layers of hoops that we need to go through to get financing, and had a great loan officer who really helped us through the process. But there was at a point where I didn't even know if we were going to be able to make this project work, and ultimately we are moving forward. But ultimately that process also includes an appraisal so that the house appraises for what they're loaning, and a number of other things like that. The other thing that we have to take care of is selections. And it's like, you gotta be kidding. I'm trying to run a business here. I don't have time to make selections. So we have made selections on the exterior materials. We had to do that for the HOA. I've got some nice stone samples and siding and such, and we'll share that with you. But the plumbing selections we've made, the appliances we've made, but some of the tile and other stuff we just haven't gotten to yet. So, but the important selections have been. How much I really enjoy HOAs, the homeowner association, and I say that. Well, anyhow, so the HOA has their requirements for design criteria. I want to do a modern house, and one of the things that ended up happening is we got guidelines initially, covenants, and they were pretty loose on what you could do. So we thought, great, no problem. Then as we got well into the design, we were hit with a number of guidelines that the homeowners association has that was established in 2015. And so let me share something with you here. Now again, I'm wanting to do a modern home, but and I'm going to read this quote from the homeowners association as part of that criteria. While dwellings in the Springbank are not restricted to a particular style, it is encouraged that a traditional character be established which is consistent with traditional Americana. So they go on to give like 20 different styles that you could design to, things like Georgian, Dutch colonial, French country, Greek revival, Tudor revival. And those are just some of them. So it's like, all right, they're never going to approve this thing. So I really fretted for a long time about that and really sweating what we were going to be able to do. And we did some revising of the design and some of the roof structure and some various components that would help us get approved. And we ultimately submitted the project under the category prairie and savanna style. Not really prairie style, whatever, but that's the closest one we could get to. So we did submit that, and and I just like, oh God, I can't sleep at night until I know that we get this thing approved. And the next day, which was a very quick turnaround, they turned around, approved it, and it's like, yeah, that's it. The other challenges that we came across, and I drove my staff nuts on this one, but as you know, I want to do a big ass garage with this ranch house, right? But as we also know, there are restrictions, the side yard setbacks, we've talked about all that, but then also building coverage and impervious lot coverage. And those two items, the building coverage and the impervious surface coverage, on this being a small lot, we were just up against the edge on that. In fact, early design, we were 100, 200 square feet over, and we had to tweak the design, and at one point an interpretation of whether the area under the overhang was covered as under impervious. And so we went roundabout onto this, and again, that whole emotional roller coaster ride of what had to happen. But we ultimately got it where within a couple square feet of both impervious surface and the building lot coverage. But again, that's important to know all those criteria when you're designing, because if we had just did what we wanted to do, we would have been rejected and then have to start and redesign things. So very important part in the process is to know all those restrictions that you need to design to. Okay, so as we've completed the design of the house and the construction documents, we're ready for submitting for the building permit, and there's a whole checklist of items that we need to go through, and some of them pertain to the lot, some of them the building, other contractor registration, and all these other things. So there's a lot that has to go through in that whole process. Ultimately, and it's so typical that you'll get back a certain response letter saying something is deficient here, or you need to add a smoke detector here. In my case, one of the comments was we had to add a smoke detector to the quilting room because it had a closet and it had a window, so it could be defined as a bedroom, which if we look at the size of that room, it would be a huge bunk room for like 10 people. But regardless, we had to add that, and it's not a big deal. But those sorts of things have to happen. So don't be surprised when it comes to the building permitting process that it's going to take some time. And in this case, it took about 2 months total, start to finish, with the first design review all the way through to getting the final approval. So we did get the building permit, and it's a big, pop the cork on the champagne moment type of thing where, okay, we got our building permit. One of the things that did come up, though, which took me by surprise, and as much due diligence as I tried to have on what those fees would be, I did not see that they were going to, and usually a subdivision that's already established had these fees paid for already, but we had fees for the park district and the library and the school district, and also the water tap-in fees and the sewer tap-in fees, and those amounted to an amount of about $13,000, which is totally beyond what I had an expectation for. So there may be the pivot door out the window, but that's where it's important to have that contingency like we've talked about before. All right. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of what we had to show here today, some of the ups and downs in the process, the emotional roller coaster ride that it can be. But we haven't shown you
the updates of the floor plans and the exterior design and such. So in the next episode of Design Build Decoded, we're going to get into showing you all the stuff from 3D elevations and kind of a walkthrough of the interior. So if you haven't already subscribed and liked, we would really appreciate if you do that. If you do subscribe, you get notified when that next episode does come out. So until then, take care.